Hi, welcome to the Pursuit of Truth, another COVID-19 video. I just heard on Sky News, it's still playing now, but I'm going to play it for you. Boris Johnson speech, I don't know who he's doing it to. I know he's doing a virtual meeting today with world leaders. I suspect it's to do with that. And he's talking about this idea of countries working together. Well, that's a great thing because we need that, don't we? And I've been talking about that for a long time. But the thing is, we need countries to work together to change the system and not just for vaccines, which is what he's talking about. And the worry is with that, obviously, if you've seen a lot of YouTube truth of videos, you'll see there's a lot of concern over vaccines. Even on Facebook, you'll see it, especially the MMR jab. We know that the vaccines have been taking a hit. People have been giving less of them to their kids, less of them to themselves, for the fear of autism linked to MMR, even though they say it doesn't. But just because they say it doesn't mean it does. I'm sure there's scientific study that shows it either way, but there's something more than scientific study, because you can make up statistics, you can do some studies, but the real way you can find out whether there is something or not is through practical application. So there's lots of parents who have said they have these things and then their child has developed autism. Now, you could say it's a coincidence and it was going to happen anyway. I guess it's difficult to work it out or not, but if you've got lots of them and the common denominator is the MMR jab, and there is some question over it, and there was a paper that now has been retracted that I think, so that the problem is now with this pandemic, and a lot of people have been speculating that the reason for this, whether it's real or not, is to rejuvenate people's trust and want into vaccines. And of course we have known that the vaccines through countries, especially in the West, have been going down. I know there's, I see on Facebook, I don't know how genuine it is, about Bill Gates and India, and allegations that Indian children were dying from vaccines that he gave, whether that's a side effect or whether that's purposely done. I know there was always this worrying was it a TED talk I think Bill Gates did? I remember I gasped when I heard it, when he was talking about vaccines, and he was talking about giving more vaccines to everyone in the world, and this will reduce population. And I couldn't understand, how do you come to that equation? If you're making people better, if you're making people able to not die of these vaccines, how would that reduce population? Surely that would increase population. And I don't know whether that was a Freudian slip or because how do you explain that? I mean, I don't know if any journalists, because journalists, they're too scared to ask the questions that YouTubers and us at home shout at our televisions every single fucking day. And they ask these mundane, simple questions, system questions, the kind of question you get on the One Show. If you're not from the UK, you won't understand, but it's this... I don't know, I can't explain it. It's just a pure old show where it's not really in depth. It's like This Morning, that's another ITV show, just so that we're BBC and ITV. They're, these programs where they're like The Real, I guess, in America, where you have these like happy clappy questions that are not going to get any kind of in-depth answer to it. It's fluff, which is what most of the media is about. So the thing is, this worry with this COVID-19 is this the agenda really, whether it's genuine or not, or what, all the other things, what's causing it, whatever this is that's happening, assuming that people are actually dying of this, which is now nearly coming up to 30,000 in the UK, 50,000 plus in America, worldwide. I don't know if it's over 100,000 now, is it? It must be, because Spain and Italy have got nearly 30 each as well. So with him talking about every country working together for a vaccine, Oxford University and this other pharmaceutical company all joining forces, wanting to give it to everyone. They may even make it free. And then everyone will want it, because obviously the fear from this, like 1984, they're going to want this injection. Or maybe that's more like Brave New World. And thus that will increase the need for vaccines and the trust in them that they've lost over the last few years. You can look at that. Historically, they have lost a lot of people who are fearful of them. Even I'm worried about it with my children when they have to have their booster of MMR. So it's worrying now. Is this the agenda to get everyone vaccinated? And the problem is because we don't trust governments, because we know they lie. You know, the Iraq War, Afghanistan War woke a lot of people up. Vietnam, Martin Luther King's assassination, you know, JFK, or 9/11, all these different factors. You know, and if you dispute some of those, you know, look at DuPont, which was, I saw a film called Darkness. I wanted to play a clip. I don't know if I'll get time to. Where that was about, it was to do with Teflon, and I didn't know this. I must have seen it on the news because it was on. They showed a clip from, I think it was BBC News, where the Teflon that was on there was linked to certain medical conditions that were killing people. Now they got it bad because they were throwing it into their water supply in America, so they were actually getting advanced of conditions of this. But it potentially, they say that over 98 or 99% of the human population has got this PFOA, CA I think it was called, chemical inside them. And it has links to lots of different cancers and different diseases. And this company, like the tobacco, if you've seen the film with, was it Al Pacino, I think it is. I can't remember what that film's called. But the film about the tobacco industry, where they fought for decades, saying no, there's nothing wrong with this stuff, and then obviously at the end of it, you know, through time, eventually they found out that yes, there it links to cancer. So just that's the worry, you know, when people talk about 5G and things like that, and is it okay or not? We know there are many examples, like with this Teflon, like with tobacco, you know, we used to give them out to soldiers. There's a lot about the humanity where, when it comes to money and products, because it's how our world is geared for commerce, that's our whole point of living, is to buy and to make money, which is not the real reason for our life. But that is as the system is, and the problem is with that is how it's abused. And is this another case that's going to come up in the future? Is Boris Johnson?
I have been talking to the largest lenders. I spoke to them over the bank.
The coronavirus. Contributing to the coronavirus global response of world leaders announcing cash for research.
On their way of life. And by doing so, we formed a human shield around our health systems, enabling our heroic health workers to save many lives, including my own. But the truth is that none of us can succeed alone. To win this battle, we must work together to build an impregnable shield around all our people. And that can only be achieved by developing and mass producing a vaccine. The more we pull together and share our expertise, the faster our scientists will succeed. The UK is the biggest donor to the efforts of the Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innovations to find a vaccine. We've committed up to £744 million to the global response to coronavirus, including our pledge of £388 million for the vital research and development of vaccines, treatments and tests. And that is the focus of today's conference. And through Gavi, the Global Vaccine Alliance, we're also helping the world's poorest countries cope with the virus. I look forward to welcoming many of you to Gavi's Global Vaccine Summit, which the UK is hosting on 4th of June. When we do find a vaccine, it's vital that we are able to distribute it to everyone who needs it. Countries and pharmaceutical companies will need to work together with an approach that defies the usual ways of operating. We'll need innovative partnerships like the one between AstraZeneca and the University of Oxford, and we'll need a truly global effort, because no one country and no one pharmaceutical company will be able to do this alone. The race to discover the vaccine to defeat this virus is not a competition between countries, but the most urgent shared endeavour of our lifetimes. It's humanity against the virus. We're in this together, and together we will prevail.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to the United Kingdom for this encouraging.
So now that it's not a global competition, bullshit. Each country is going to want to make this thing, because I'm sure they're not going to give it away free. Plus, they're all going to want the prestige of being the country that saved the world, that saved humanity. and they're talking about all this, but then once it's done, everything will go back to normal, and we'll start doing the rest of competing against each other. Children starving, children, all the people starving out on the streets, the homeless, people losing their houses, people without money, people struggling, mental health illness, all these things. It's just platitudes, but it's worrying, because is this what's that saying? Problem, reaction, solution. Problem, the virus, COVID-19. Reaction, fear, through the media, through politicians. Notice that still no real famous people or politicians, who are usually very old and they must have underlying health conditions, none of them seem to have died from this. Boris has come close, if that did actually happen. But there's why if it's 1% and it's elderly people generally mostly and underlying health conditions, how come no real A-list celebrities have got this and died? You've got Idris Elba, I don't believe that at all. There's lots of this, but none of them died yet. Yeah, you've got who was it? I think in the UK it was Eddie Large. I mean, it was a funny comedian, but he's not like an A-list. It's not like, and then Tom Hanks, he allegedly got it. And there's other stories on Facebook about that. But anyway, I don't want to veer. Here's a clip I wanted to play from, it was called Dark Waters, actually, that film. I don't know if it's going to play nicely or not. Let's see.
Which part? All of it. They're tearing up our agreement, rejecting the science panel. They're gonna fight every claim in court. Thousands of claims. People, sick people. They'll give up. They can't fight DuPont.
How can they go back on?
Sarah.
They can't go back on everything.
Well, they're a titan of industry. I mean, they can do whatever the hell they want. Nothing else matters.
They can fight you all they want. It doesn't take away from what you've done.
Of course it does. It's exactly what it does. They want to show the world it's no use fighting. Look, everybody, even he can't crack the maze, and he's helped build it. The system is rigged. They want us to think it'll protect us, but that's a lie. We protect us. We do. Nobody else. Not the companies, not the scientists, not the government, us. A farmer with a 12th grade education told me that. On day one, he knew. And I thought he was crazy. Isn't that crazy?
I will share that clip on its own as well, because I think it's a very important clip. I think films are now starting to, now whether this is part of the plan to move this on, or whether this is because actual movie makers are becoming open to the truth as well, want to change the world. That statement, I don't think you would have got that a few years ago. It's an attack against not just government, it's an attack against systems, about the whole idea of lie and truth and corruption and power, and it being rigged from the beginning. It was a great statement. And there was another film that mentioned crisis actors. One, the guy who makes Paranormal Activity, one of Blumhouse films, I can't remember which one it was. There was sort of like a hunt. Was it called The Hunt? I think it was called The Hunt. Something like that. That had a mention about crisis actors, which I was surprised that was mentioned and stuff like that. So I think it's, you've got Jack, what's his name? Phoenix. Can't remember how to pronounce his first name. Anyway, so that's all I wanted to say. It's just hearing that Boris Johnson statement about countries working together and vaccines, giving it to everyone. Is this the problem, reaction, solution that a lot of people have been talking about? Is this what this was all about? Whether it's real or not, whether it was genetically engineered, like now they're talking about, I know the UK government, they mentioned them, we're talking about Wuhan laboratory because it was testing coronavirus. I know that I've heard that some of that money was actually given by the United States. And there's Donald Trump talking about China creating it, but the United States gave money to it. I know there's been links between Bill Gates and Boris Johnson and Donald Trump to do with vaccine companies, and also Matt Hancock, the health secretary, being done there as well. So it's like is this what this is really all about? That this is the end goal. And that's worrying, really, because it'll be that every company, every healthcare, every social case, every school will need you to have this vaccine before you can go anywhere or gain anything, to be part of this world. Otherwise, you're going to spread it. You're going to be the one that's going to kill the whole of mankind. How can you doubt the science when everyone's saying the same thing, singing the same song? But I mean, that doesn't work. Like I used to use an example. It's an unfortunate example now, but the example I used to use was about the world, how it was, how everyone used to say it was flat, and then everyone said it was round. You know, there was that kind of argument. That doesn't mean anything just because everyone says the same thing. That's peer pressure. That's confirmation bias. Anyway, I guess we'll find out in the end. Take care, take it easy. God bless, and peace.